Yay!
Okay, good morning, everyone. So welcome to another great week and a call, and we're going to talk about something that I know I have always struggled with and have spent some time learning, and Beachbody has created a wonderful training for us. I went to it. Tiff went to it. Tiff, did any of your coaches go as well?
Dave went.
Dave went, that's right.
Yeah,
okay.
Dave went.
But I went in New York City a year and a half ago, and since then, it really has transformed my life. So Beachbody partnered with Franklin Covey, who are the masterminds behind time management, of course, and they put together a very specific training system just for Beachbody coaches, and that's what I want to spend some time with today. And again, I'll just post the PowerPoint that I'm going to go through, and then all of the documents. Because it was a full two and a half days, right? Was it 2 days, 2 full days? I can't remember.
2 days for Philly, yeah.
Yeah, it was 2 full days in New York. So a lot of information, obviously, we aren't going to cover in 25 minutes or so. But we'll get through some of the key points. So I'm so glad that you're here, Tiff, and you can chime in, please, to give some of your thoughts too. But let me switch to share the screen, if I can do that. Let's see. Let me pull it up, see if y'all can see. Okay, can everybody see that now? Yes, no? Hang on.
Yeah. Oh, there it goes.
There? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I think I got this right. Okay. So if you're not, some of you may or may not be familiar with what the 5 choices to extraordinary productivity are. And again, we're not going to have time to go through all of it, but I want us just to highlight on some of it and then talk a little bit more about planning. So really what this is going to help us do, to me in a nutshell, what I gain for it is to kind of, how when you're working your power hour, I don't know if anybody else can relate, but it's really easy to get distracted, whether you're on Facebook or the stuff or, something happens, and before you know it, you're like, oh my goodness, I didn't talk to anybody today, or I didn't follow up with so-and-so. And it doesn't just apply to your business, but other areas of our life that time can just kind of slip through our hands really, really quickly. And then all of a sudden, a deadline's approaching and we're not ready for it, or we missed an opportunity, or we need to have enough time to get everything done. So really, this is what this system and this whole process is going to help you to identify really what's important in your life and how to act on the things that are most important, and maybe let go of some things that you feel aren't as important at this season in your life. That was a big realization for me. And then how to make the best use of your time with real focus, I guess, is the main thing. So there's 5 different choices. You can see them here. I don't have to read through all of them. Again, I'll post this. Choice 1 is always acting on the important. Let me go to that screen there. And not always operating from the premise of reacting. And sometimes you can do this and sometimes you can't. But it's really the principle of discernment and making choices. And one thing that stuck out to me was this: it's learning to be choosy about your choices. And for me, I guess the big aha moment of this was I don't have to react to every single thing, whether it's a demand from somebody at work saying, I need you to do something right now, but I can learn to say no. And that was really hard for me. And sometimes it still is, but the more you practice saying no, it seems like the easier it is. So you want to ask yourself, do you have the ability to really look at choices that are going to give you the highest return on your time and attention? And so one example, and we'll go on and we'll share here, I guess, before I go into an example, the idea of these time quadrants, okay? And again, Tiff, jump in, please, because you've been through this and you're implementing it too. But basically, there's 4 quadrants, Q1 through Q4. And again, these were just really eye-opening to me. But quadrant 1 is where a lot of urgent things happen. So it may be important and it may be urgent. So we think of a lot of crises or pressing problems here. And sometimes you can control it, and sometimes you can't. So an example of a Q1 thing that may come up, you're driving along, you're on your way to take the kids to the dentist, and all of a sudden your tire blows out. on the highway. You can't control that, but that's an urgent, pressing need that you need to deal with, right? Or somebody gets sick. You've got a holiday planned out, and you're going to get all of this stuff done, and then somebody gets sick. You get sick, a child gets sick, something happens. Think about it in work. Maybe your boss all of a sudden puts a deadline on you, or there's an urgent emergency meeting. And me working in healthcare, that always happens. So that's something that may happen over in this quadrant. But in general, we want to try to avoid this as much as possible because it kind of gobbles up our energy and it gobbles up our time. Whereas in quadrant 2, items are important, but they're not urgent. And this is really the quadrant of productivity, where you're thinking about prevention and planning ahead. So it's May 1st. Let's just say it's May 1st or May 10th. And you want to start a challenge group on June 5th. Okay, for example, you have 3.5 weeks to invite and plan for your challenge group. Okay, so that's where you're going to start planning for that. All right, you don't want to be over here and it's June 3rd. You want to start your challenge group on June 5th and you're just now starting to invite, right? That's not going to be good use of your time. Another example here would be all of us, exercise. We'd be a product of the product, right? We exercise and we drink our Shakeology every day to take good care of our bodies. So physically, emotionally, mentally. And that's being very proactive, right? I'll move on real quick. Quadrant 3 is a quadrant of distraction. Sometimes this can be emails, things that aren't really important, but it's kind of deceptive that you can, again, waste a lot of time there. So you just need to start looking at items as they come into your life, into your day, and start asking yourself questions. Where do they fit here? And then quadrant 4, you definitely want to avoid. This is scrolling through Facebook newsfeed, mindless television, anything that is just time wasting. And I'm not saying that there's not a time for watching a movie or watching TV. That can be, specific relaxation time, but it can also be mindlessness, activities that gobble up maybe quality time reading with your kids, or a date night with your significant other, or your power hour, anything like that. So we want to try to avoid these 3 quadrants as much as possible and spend more time here in quadrant 2, which is what they call extraordinary productivity. So does that make sense, just kind of in a nutshell?
Gina, what do you think? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And you'll see some statistics up here and everything too that, I think were just, pretty interesting there. But anyways, so again, the first step would be, once you understand that, is when things come across your day, whether it's emails or somebody asks you to do something, can you volunteer for the community yard sale? Can you do this? Can you be on this committee? Whatever, think about it as a coach or a challenger. Oh, can I talk to you on the phone like in 10 minutes? Ask yourself questions. What kind of an activity is this? Is it Q1? Is it a Q2 activity? What Q3 activities can I get rid of in my life, or even Q4 activities, so I have more time to put over here into prevention and proactive building. And so that's something that, Tiff, would you say that you've been able to start asking yourself those and had more discernment now that you got this concept?
I think it's something that I just constantly need to be on alert for, because this is like the perfect time to have this refresher. Because I feel like sometimes I am concerned about always being available to answer challenger questions or prospective challenger questions. And I need to not stress that, like, if I'm not there in that 2 seconds, that I'm going to lose that person. And I need to just understand that life is life, and they understand that life is life. And if it's a Q3, then it's a Q3. And, it looks urgent, but it's really not important in that moment. Then I need to do my Q2s first, the things that aren't urgent but are important.
Right.
And then make time for that Q3, because then that Q3 becomes important, becomes Q2.
Yeah, and yeah, definitely. And sometimes it's just a matter of when you ask yourself that question and say, well, it's not Q2 right now. And you know what? I'm in the middle of this. And you can just simply shoot a message or a text back to a coach or a challenger or a coworker. This happens to me at work all the time. You know what? I'm in the middle of a project right now. I'm in the middle of doing something, or I'm in the middle of quality time with my children, or whatever it is. I don't have time now, but I can talk to you at such and such a time, you know, and it may be later that day, or it may be tomorrow morning, you know, whatever. But then that's going to move it, you know, from something that's pressing and urgent, or, you know, not important, and move it into a Q2 activity, you know. So yeah, definitely. And it is something that we do have to, like you said, Tiff, just keep practicing over and over. So I don't want to go too much into all of this. Again, just for time's sake, I'll post things that go with it. But, you know, there are things that you can do, for example, here with your business activities. And there's some documents, some exercises you can go through here to think about some Q2 activities. And maybe we can share some here real quick to give everybody some ideas. But I have here, you want to just, again, looking at your business, and this will apply to all areas of your life. You'll see as we go through this. But what are maybe the top 2 or 3 Q activities that you feel you could start implementing right now on a daily or weekly basis that really would have a big impact on your, whether it's 6-month or 1-year goals or your team goals? Can you think of anything, Gina or Tiff, like just as we're talking, that might fit into something that's really proactive and fit into this Q2 as it relates to your Beachbody business?
I think that example that you gave of planning out your groups in advance so that you're not a week out and going, oh crap, I wanted to start that group next week. And then like all of a sudden you're rushing people and they're just not ready. Yeah. That's one thing that I really need to start doing more. I think once I hit Diamond, I felt like I had to be more team focused and be a resource to my team. And that's putting me a lot of times in Q3 because they have something that's urgent, but it's not urgent for me.
Doesn't mean that it's not important necessarily.
Right. So it's important, but I need to empower them to find their own answers more, I think. Yes. And instead spend time on these Q2 type activities of, okay, our team's going to run this. Our team should we try that? You know, and create some ideas for these new coaches, so that they can say, oh yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Let's try that, instead of just answering FAQ questions.
Good. Yeah. How about you, Gina? Anything come to your mind that you think there's something that you could do that's more proactive that would really have a big impact on your business goals?
Yeah, I need to stay away from Q4. I have a problem. Like, I do. Like, I need to stop watching the stupid TV shows. I need to focus more on the business. It's stupid little things that I know I need to change. And I'm starting to realize it, so I'm starting to focus more, and it's hard, but I'm getting there.
Good. Well, you realize it. So, like, right there, that's the biggest step right there, just becoming aware of it, for sure. Yeah.
Right.
Awesome.
Gina, I think Jared and Eric are a lot alike, and, like, honestly, he likes the stupid TV sometimes. And he wants me next to him. So I sit there on my phone and snuggle with him.
Well, so do I.
And do work stuff while he watches.
Well, that's kind of cute, too.
Well, I do that. And then
time.
Yeah. So that might work for you.
Well, Jared gets mad. He's like, why aren't you paying attention? Why are you ignoring me and on your phone? I'm like, oh, you're killing me. Like,
but it's the TV. I'm not ignoring you. I'm ignoring the TV.
Exactly.
Oh, that's funny.
Exactly.
Oh gosh, good. I just put some other questions here of how do you say no? And you know, it's really that moment of choice you have to stop and ask yourself. And it's kind of like when somebody, you know, offers you a dessert. I think of this, you know, last night a friend was tempting me with, you know, really luscious dessert, and I had to say, do I really want that? You know, but pause and just ask yourself, you know, is that activity important? You know, does that activity really need to be done right now? Like you said, Tiff, is there another resource or method to get this activity done? You know, maybe it's not you, or maybe you can redirect somebody to look for the answer. What is the impact? of that. This is a hard one that hits you in the face. What is the impact of this activity on my most important goals? And again, these aren't always easy questions to answer, but I think just like you said, Gina, we start becoming aware, and then that helps us to make different and maybe better choices. So those are some things that can help you to answer those things. So that's that. And I know I want to try to be time sensitive here. This is a lot. We may end up breaking this into 2, or I'll record it, but don't worry about that. So choice number 2 is going for the extraordinary. And this is where you really start to define high impact outcomes that are going to transform the results you want to achieve in all areas of your life. And this is where we start to identify key roles. And there's some really good exercises to do. And when you start to identify key priority roles in your life, again, it's not just your business, you're going to create some statements, okay? And they call them the Q2 roles and statements. So I put an example here. I think this came from class. So example, if you're a spouse, okay, or you're dating somebody, or you have somebody significant in your life, let's just say that. So the example I put, as Dave's best friend, I'm going to show my unconditional love and support through regularly communicating my feelings for him and helping him achieve his life goals. That could be a statement that you would say as your role as a spouse. And then you'll see that as we go through this, there's activities, and then those activities are going to translate into maybe a date night, and scheduling a date night, that would be, right, a Q2 activity. If you're married, maybe you schedule a weekly or a monthly date night. And for you gals, like you said, if your spouse likes to watch TV and they want your undivided attention, maybe you just schedule 30 or 60 minutes on Thursday nights to watch their TV show with them. And you do have to put your, maybe if they were asking you to put your phone away, 60 minutes away from Facebook and the phone is not going to kill you, but you need to really be able to, because life just throws so much at us, right? We're constantly bombarded by so many roles and so many different things that you really need to focus in on some key things. And I'll real quick show you mine, if you can all see this, and I'll post it, I don't mind. But I basically came up with 4 roles. One, I called it a health advocate because that covers my work as a dietitian and a Beachbody coach. That's one of my roles. I'm also a mom to 2 beautiful daughters. That's a very important role in my life. A role of myself, taking care of myself and, everything that encompasses. And then also a role as being a good friend and also a family member to people. So those, for me, were 4 big key areas in my life. And so I defined roles for each of them. So I'll just real quick share here the one for the first one. I put as a health advocate, and I chose that title. You can say coach or whatever you want. I share my passion for fitness and nutrition by inviting others to make permanent healthy lifestyle changes, offering education and support to my customers and coaches as they take daily steps to reach their health and personal goals. So that's a little long, but I felt it was really kind of encompassing. And then underneath that, that's my general role. I set some significant goals, okay? And these are going to change, as well. But does that kind of give you a little bit idea that you want to start zooming in? And one of the exercises that you'll do, let me go back to this. I don't know if we have it here, is that you need to sit down. And Tiff, you probably remember doing this, and list out all the roles in your life. I mean, I started with like 22, you guys. Like, I didn't just start out with full, I work, I was volunteering. When I did this, volunteering was a huge part of my life, so that was a significant role, so you think of all the things that you do and all the hats you wear. Tiff, can you jump in here and share your experience going through this process?
Yeah, I feel like this is so key to Q2 because you need to sit down and figure out all the different hats you wear and which ones are actually important to you, not which ones were thrust upon your head and you take them on just because they were given to you.
Good
and
point.
Then you figure out within those key hats that you like, those key roles, what are the most important parts of them and how do you make goals tied to those important parts? Because we talk about writing down our goals and writing down our priorities, but this is a really focused and practical way of kind of giving everything a hierarchy. So
yeah, excellent. Yeah, Gina, does that make sense?
It does.
Good, good. So that's going to be the next step. And again, I kind of went through this. You'll be able to see this, you know, and examples. And then once you identify your roles, then you're going to set some specific goals. So this is the example I have here as a dietitian and coach. So I have down as goals, I help 20 new customers every month get healthy and fit through challenge groups, okay? I also add 2 new coaches to my team each month and help them reach their goals and dreams, okay? And these are just examples, you know, there's no right or wrong, only what works for you. And Tiff and I, since we've been through this, we're happy to help you all, you know, kind of go through this process. It's not something that you're gonna work through overnight. It does take some time, and again, there's a lot of documents that we'll post to exercises to help you go through those steps there too. You know, here as a role as a mom to my girls, I spend a fun one-on-one day every week with Emma and assist her with her homework when she comes home from school. You know, and we have a favorite little cafe we like to go to for hot chocolate and talk about her day and do homework together. And then Hannah's at Penn State, so you know the goal I have is to go visit Hannah once a month during college and spend a fun day just taking her out to eat, taking her shopping or something like that. So those are just 2 goals that I set, and then you'll see, and I don't know if we'll get to it on this call for time's sake or not, but you'll see when you start scheduling out your week, then these are what we call your important roles, or what they call your big rocks, the most important things in your life. So if one of my specific important roles is as a mom, and I want this one day every week with Emma, well, guess what then? When I go to schedule out my calendar, I'm going to make sure I put that in the calendar. I'm going to schedule 2 hours on Wednesday afternoon, pick Emma up from school at 3:30, and this is what we're going to do. Do you see how that translates, Gina and everybody?
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So, and again, you're, like Tiff said, you're going to be able to kind of weed through things and let go of some, you know, things that maybe aren't as important. You know, in order for me, I want to build a big, successful business so that I don't have to work 45, 50 hours a week in a hospital. You know, that means sacrificing. And one of the roles that I had to temporarily let go of that's really near and dear to my heart is volunteering. You know, it's not that it was wrong. It was just taking up a ton of time. And that was taking away from my role, extra time with my girls and extra time building my business. So I temporarily said, you know what, I'm going to pull back from some of my volunteering activities for this season in my life so that I can focus on these other areas, and especially my business, because I know that 5 years from now, if I do what I'm, you know, supposed to do with my business, I can have a full-time Beachbody business, and I can even have more time to volunteer. Does that make sense? Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So we kind of get into the scheduling part of this, the nuts and bolts. Again, it'll start to make more sense as you work through this, but you want to schedule the big rocks. And again, when we say the big rocks, we're talking about these major roles, these major things. So one of the little exercises that you have that comes here with one of the little worksheets I'll post, it says, create a master list every week. And I usually do this on Sunday nights because Sundays I do food prep, and that's kind of a good time to do this, of everything you need to do in the upcoming week. So whether it's going to the dentist, or, you know, a follow-up doctor's appointment, or you need to take the car in for an oil change, or I need to go get my passport, you know, or business activities, or, you know, I'm reading at the, you know, Sarah's school this week, or whatever it is, you need to schedule those in. And if you just take 30 minutes on Saturday morning or Sunday night to sit down with your schedule, and we'll talk about this in another, you know, another recording, I think I'll post again, or another call, whatever method works for you. I personally now, because of the Franklin Covey system, I went from a paper Franklin Covey planner to using Google Calendar. Again, there's no right or wrong. It's really whatever works for you. But you want to make sure you're taking a good 30 minutes once a week to schedule things. And then on a daily basis, if you just check in at the end of every day for 5-10 minutes to say, you know, kind of do an assessment. How did my day go? Did I get everything done? Are the things I need to move into tomorrow or another day? It's really going to help you make sure that you are sticking to those key priorities, and not getting overwhelmed by what they say, the gravel, the little time suckers there. All right. And again, because you want to spend more time in Q2, proactive. Does that make sense? Questions on that?
Yep.
Tiff, is there anything you want to jump in here right now?
Sorry.
Yeah, no.
Here's a Q3 right here. It's urgent to my daughter that she needs breakfast, but it's not important to me. Is that terrible? I'm a terrible mother. No, I would say that I resisted the online Google Calendar, and I'm realizing that my phone is always with me and my paper planner isn't, and I hate having to remember where I wrote stuff down, so I'm trying to switch to totally digital so that everything's backed up. I can access it on the computer. I can access it on my phone. Eric can see what's on my calendar. I can see what's on Eric's calendar. So,
yeah. Yeah, and I had a Franklin Covey planner. I first took Franklin Covey back in the mid to late 90s. I still have my nice leather-bound Franklin Covey planner. I used to love writing everything, highlighting it, checking it off. And man, I took it to this training, and Denise Needham from corporate's like, y'all are going to get rid of those day planners by the end of this weekend, and you're all converting. And you know, I resisted too, but she said, give it 30 days. And just as an experiment, try it for 30 days. And Tiff's right. Like, I love it because with Google Calendar, just as an example, like I always have it open on my laptop, but it's on my phone, and everything's color coded, and you get little reminders. So this little alarm goes off. You have a chiropractor appointment in 1 hour, you know, and I love it. It's like your own personal assistant. It really, really does help. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But again, what do you want to do in those 30 minutes here? And again, I have this. Schedule the big rocks first. Ask yourself, in each of your key roles, what are the 1 to 2 most important things I can do in the upcoming week? So maybe you want to schedule a date night with your significant other. Maybe a business goal is you want to meet 5 new people a day on social media to build a relationship with. I make a master task list and then a big rocks list. So it makes it easier to schedule those big rocks list. And again, there's a little worksheet there. And then the other things kind of fall in, you know, like your workout. You know, I typically like to be at the gym by 4:45, 5 o'clock in the morning. But sometimes I have an early morning meeting that's urgent. And so I need to move it, you know, and that's really easy to do too with the online scheduling. But if you schedule the big rocks, generally all the little things either are not going to be that important and they don't need to be taken care of. You just let them go, or you'll find time to fit them in, like laundry, for example, you know, or something like that. I kind of went through some of those there. And then on a daily basis, real quick, at the end of the day, and I usually schedule this, I go to bed really early because I do get up at 3:30 to get everything done. I know you guys think I'm crazy. This is a girl who used to push snooze. You know, but usually around 6:30, 6:45 at night, I take 10 minutes to just kind of look over the day, look at your tasks and appointments. Again, identify anything that maybe got missed or that you need more time for tomorrow. Maybe you didn't get enough time. And then if you need to, you can move things around. And what's really great about Google Calendar, and I don't have it open here, sorry, is that you can very easily slide things over. You can go in and edit and change things. So maybe what I'll do is go down there and just kind of spend the last few minutes on Google and share this, and Tiff, jump in there. But Google Calendar, and I'm not getting a kickback from them, guys, but this is what Beachbody recommended. There's other things you can do, but it's free and it's really easy. But Google really can do everything. I love this quote here: simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. The more mature I get in life, as I age, definitely I agree with that. But it's really simple how to set up your Google Calendar. This is a screenshot from mine, but I'm going to actually open mine up. I love all the color coding. Tiff, are you using, you said you're transferring everything to Google Calendar now? Is that right?
Yeah, I just started when we started Diamond Mind. And,
okay.
And the reason I did that is because we're getting Apple Watches. And so I am tying my iPhone to my Google Calendar, and then hypothetically I should be able to lift my watch and say, Siri, schedule 30 minutes at 3:30 to follow up with X person, and it should dump it on my Google Calendar.
Okay.
So when I go on the computer, then at 3:30 it'll say you have 30 minutes with so-and-so.
Gotcha.
With a reminder. So
Awesome.
Hypothetically, we'll see how it works. That the watch isn't in yet, so we'll see.
Okay, cool. So can you all see I opened it up to my Google Calendar. So, and again, this is going to look different for everybody. I sit down on Sunday nights, but I have certain events that I are always scheduled in, okay? So for example, I usually schedule my workout and my power hour, my first power hour for my business in the morning. And then on Sundays, I look at my work schedule and appointments and say, is my power hour going to be from 4 to 5, or do I, and then I go to the gym at 5? You can do that. It's really easy to, move things around, quite honestly, and change the times. Okay. And you can hit recurring events. So it just makes it really, really simple, to do things like that. But it's nice here because it's all color coded, and like you can see, you can just really easy move something. So like, I have doctor's appointments already scheduled in here next week, with my physical therapist and my chiropractor. So those are in there. So you can see that's during my normal work hours. I'm going to have to readjust things. Tomorrow, for example, I always block out 8 to 11. That's when I go to church and I go out for brunch with a friend. Okay. Really simple to do, tomorrow afternoon, I have invites and follow-up scheduled for power hour for an hour and a half, okay? I do that on Saturdays too. My workouts are always here, and you can color code things. It makes it really easy to do that. Like Beachbody stuff, I make blue. My workouts are always green. It just makes it really simple to look at. And then when I open up my phone, guess what? It looks exactly the same thing. And then you can set alarms. So if I have, I have an appointment here, a doctor's appointment Tuesday, I'm going to set an alarm so that goes off and it reminds me you have a doctor's appointment in an hour. It makes it really, really easy. And then you can see if you have little gaps of time where you might be able to put things in. I have personal development always at the end of my day. I like to read for, 20, 30 minutes before I go to bed. Wednesday nights I have Bible study at church, so I'm going to have to go in and adjust this a little bit. But it makes it really simple when you schedule these big rocks, and you can see I have a list over here. I make a task list. What are my big rocks that I want to make sure I'm scheduling every week? And you can check them off as you go through. And then it's just simple. If I know that, on Monday night I'm not going to be eating dinner at this time, I need to move it. Look at that. You can just move it. You can move an event. If I need to move a doctor's appointment, I can, move it. And it's a really, I think, a simple system. I mean, Tiff, what do you find as you're transitioning to this that's been helpful for you?
iCalendar doesn't have the cool colors, but I picked a color that makes me really happy. And so seeing stuff blocked, it's not like an angry color. It's a happy color. I don't know.
Okay. Maybe what you could do too, and I'll post this and I'll post some screenshots. We're down to less than a minute here, guys. So, but maybe that's something you can do is post some screenshots, because I'm not familiar with iCalendar, and we'll ask other people what other systems they're using to share also. Yeah. But what do you like? What's your big takeaway, I guess you would say, from this? What has it helped you most with?
Honestly, it keeps me on task. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, okay, I have this amount of time to do my puttering, and then I have this amount of time to get my workout in before the girls get up, and then I have this amount of time to do my power hour. So
Yeah.
so I glanced at the clock and I'm like, oh crap, I'm in the middle of XYZ time. I
Yes.
need to get moving. So
That's a great point. Yeah. Yeah. Real quick, Gina, what are your thoughts, or questions on this? Does it make sense?
It all makes sense. Yeah.
Do you
Makes me realize what I need to